Hey everybody, welcome back to the Waffle House. This week we're reviewing Mortal Kombat 2021. I'm Dan and I'm with my brother Joe. Say hi, Joe.
Hello. Hey, hey, hey.
Cool. We're gonna review this film that literally just came out, HBO Max, which I watched pretty much on its release. It's a kind of backstory, if anything, of the first original movie back in '95. So this has been in the works, I think, for the last sort of 3 years. COVID kind of slowed down production. Um,
Would you say do you think it's like kind of a prequel to the original movie, do you think? Or
Um, I I guess we'll get into that as we talk about the story, but that's how I've left. Yeah, that's how I felt about it, because in the sense that they didn't really have a tournament. But I might be wrong. But anyway, my initial thoughts going into this movie. Obviously, I could see the runtime, and I was like, "Whoa, only 1 hour 50." And I did think that is quite short for sort of Hollywood or even R-rated movie or whatever. But um, I I really enjoyed it, but I made a bit of a mistake by putting it on the widescreen TV, which actually it turned out to be better in much better quality on my laptop. So I sort of changed through halfway, but whatever. I really enjoyed it. I thought there's certain characters that are a lot more enjoyable than others. So and then there's
okay,
segments of the story. If I'm summarizing, there's segments of the
we're doing a
story.
sub. This is all spoilers, right? Spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
sorry, this is all spoiler talk. So we'll
We're
put
gonna
it that
spoil
out.
the hell out of this movie.
Sure, sure. But I have to go and say that there's also elements of the story that are a lot better than others, if it's split into sort of three parts, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, but for me, I think a lot of people, the one that stole the show was Kano. I thought he was hilarious, and he sort of his chemistry with Sonya. Um, and overall, like, he's just relentless with his sense of humor. I mean, he's brilliant.
Yeah, he's
Any
non-stop.
cheesy part that was in that movie, I thought, like, he kind of let the
You call it
audience.
out.
He wouldn't let them get away with that shit, however cheesy it was. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, he
Um,
was he was he was a good character for sure. He was very funny.
yeah. My issue with the film, and it was the same issue I had watching the trailers, was that the the sort of central character, I guess, was sort of central character, or the POV was around Cole Young, who
Yeah.
is an original character to the Mortal Kombat sort of canon, and I
Sorry, he's a new character. He's not an original, right?
he's brand new. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
So he's brand new. I found him a little uninteresting in the trailer, and I found him the same sort of, a bit uninteresting in the movie. He's not a bad actor, but I just felt like you're being asked to you feel for someone that's new to the story. I didn't really think it needed that necessarily. But
I
yeah,
wonder if it would have been worth Cole Young maybe spending a bit more time on his backstory and getting a bit more interesting and finding out a bit more about him before kicking the story off. I wonder if it could have benefited for another like maybe 5-10 minutes of backstory and character building with him so that you did care a bit more about him. Because I know what you mean. He was good. I thought the character was pretty cool, actually. And considering almost every other character in the film was like, has a long history behind them and like has got a fan base and people know those characters, they've played those characters in games.
yeah,
Yeah, I do feel like maybe they could have done him a little bit more justice.
yeah.
um yeah, giving him a little bit more meat.
What did you make of the runtime? Was it? Do you think it was a bit quick or
So the
not really?
movie so interesting, right? So when you look at the runtime, there can be an hour 50 movie um that feels like it's really quick, and there can be an hour 50 movie that feels like
Yeah,
it drags on. This is an hour 50 movie that feels quick. But I think that's because it's got good pacing. I think the movie is really well paced. Like the storytelling, there's always something happening. It's not like a lull. There's not that many lull moments that are like, why are we going off on this excursion? Why is this backstory? Like some random characters back, sometimes in films, like you'll follow a supporting character for 10 minutes and you're like, I don't care about their backstory. It's a subplot. I don't
yeah,
care. This is boring. You didn't have any of
yeah,
those moments, which means the movie was really well paced. And it
yeah,
means that I think they got even though they could have done with a bit more backstory for Cole Young, generally, I think the fact that it doesn't feel slow and it feels fast. What you're saying, it's not a long movie, sure, but it's almost 2 hours, and it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, there was no time wasting. I'll give you that as well.
Yeah,
There's definitely
yeah.
no time wasting in that film.
Which is,
It's just
I
really
think,
compact.
credit to the film. Like it
Mm.
feels, it's enjoyable to watch, like start to end. I could probably watch it again. I could probably watch it now.
I've watched it twice already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so like I said, I made a mistake putting it on the big screen. I don't know what it was, but I guess our TV's just not quite up to the specs just
Right.
aren't quite up to date. But I pretty much watched 3/4 of it on there and then switched to the laptop. And then I realized it was so much better on the laptop. The lighting on the laptop is so much better. It was the CGI that annoyed me, and the sound distribution maybe on the computer with those on the TV with the speakers. It happens with quite a few movies where the dialogue seems a bit too quiet, and then all of a sudden the action's too loud, which is really just a bit uncomfortable. So with
Isn't that just on
earphones
the
in
TV though?
and a laptop, way better.
Yeah, but this is we should keep this to a movie review, not like Mum's TV review.
Sure, no, sure, but no, it's just a weird thing that I found about this movie in particular. No, but sorry, but further to that, what I was going to suggest was I thought that the CGI only looked average because of the screen difference. It still, to me, was a little bit of a problem when I had it on the laptop, which was better.
Oh,
So
really? I thought it. So I saw it on the laptop the whole time. I watched it on my like decent laptop. Not amazing, but like good enough. And I thought it was really good. I was one of the things I was going to say. I was quite impressed by it was CGI.
Oh,
Generally.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was the two characters in particular. Well, no, so the reptile fight I did think was actually really fun. The way they
Yeah, it
laid
was
it
good.
out was really fun.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan. I'm not sure if you remember this bit, but the way that when Kano is one-on-one with a reptile, there's a moment where he's in a spot of trouble. I think reptile has him by the throat. Sonya says, "Pass me the knife to Cole."
Yeah.
And she gets this blade and then does this sort of twisting jump.
Weird spinny stuff in the air.
Yeah, just suddenly cuts to her landing at this stab on
Yeah,
Reptile.
that jump. There's a couple of times in movies that have martial arts in that you feel like there's a couple of bits there that are a little unnecessary. Like there's a couple of spins and jumps that, it's a bit of like, I know they want to make it exciting by having lots of movement and action and choreography, but
No, but sorry, but just to get my point across, it wasn't just the silly extra spin. It was the way that she then cut to her landing.
Yeah, I
It
think
was
I
like
noticed that.
She literally, I could have done that on my phone. I thought that part, that one move in particular, I was like a little bit like,
Right.
that didn't look very good.
Right. Okay.
Otherwise,
Yeah, fair enough.
I thought the fighting was generally quite good. No, I didn't
Yeah.
really have a problem with the fighting otherwise.
Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was cool actually. Staying on the CGI. There's one thing. There's only one bit where I thought, there's a bit of, it's not even CGI, a bit of special effects that didn't work, and that was there's a really towards the end. They're in that ice room, the ice octagon, and when they're looking down from the ice octagon, this is when they've won. Cole Young and his daughter walk away. Like they walk out the octagon away from the Sub Zero that he's killed and all the rest of it. And as they do, if you look at their footsteps, I noticed it straight away. You can see the fabric underneath. They twist the fabric with their foot back, accidentally or not accidentally. They can't help but do it. And it's supposed to be ice, and it's just like clearly it's like a white sheet of something. And both of them, you could sort of see them walking away. It's almost like some sort of puddle that they're walking through, and it's like, oh shit, that was just a little bit. That was the only thing I noticed, like on first viewing. I'm sure if you watched it, if you like did a frame by frame, you'd notice loads of stuff. But when you watch it like first time and you see it the first time, you're like, that's a bit of a shame that they just didn't use that shot or something.
That's super eagle eye. Yeah, no, I didn't spot that part at all. But there were just a few cuts, and the main one that annoyed me was that one with Sonya and Reptile. That's all.
Right.
But but there are a few other cuts in the action I just thought seemed a little unnecessary. I don't know. I'm mixed feelings about Goro. I thought he looked all right, but I just thought it could have been better. He seemed to me a little bit like squishy. The way he like you could have punched him and he was a bit like made out of jelly almost.
Big hug.
Especially the way he died. He kind of like collapses on the floor and it's just, I think you heard it, the way it was just whoosh. He was just like this big blob.
I know what you mean. Yeah, he was a little bit. Yeah, I know what you mean. He actually felt a little bit soft, not quite as like rock hard as you'd think. I don't know, a muscle bound, 4-armed weirdo would look.
Yeah,
Be like,
not
yeah,
an easy
maybe, yeah.
character to I'm sure to generate on the for CGI, but still, I overall I really enjoyed this movie. What were the standout parts that you loved then? Since
I
I
liked
think
a
we
lot of
bashed
it.
out. Sorry, unless there's any more negatives that really annoyed you.
There probably are a couple, but I'll mention them as I go along. But I'm happy to go into the positives. Yeah, so for me, like 90%, 95% positive. Really liked it. Thought it was really good. So even from the setup, as in just having these two backstory of these two Japanese ninjas who are fighting each other, and have this grudge, and they hold that grudge for a long time, and they.
One's Chinese. I got to correct you. Sub
Oh yeah,
Zero.
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
only
yeah.
learnt that really during the movie. I didn't realize. I looked
I
it up
think maybe
after.
they change. I think they maybe. I don't know.
Well,
Part of me,
according to like sort of a fandom page, yeah, I
yeah.
think Sub Zero was
He's always
Chinese.
been Chinese, has he?
Yeah, yeah, apparently.
I didn't know that.
Mm.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. But you're 100% right. Yeah, because they don't actually understand each other, do they? They
Mm.
talk. One talks Chinese, one talks Japanese.
I
And
found that
weirdly,
quite funny. That was quite funny actually when they were fighting in the woods. And although he had just murdered his family, but he
yeah,
throws that in like, I don't know what you're saying, but I'm going to kill you, something like that.
yeah. I thought it was quite convenient that Cole Young, after I don't know how many of hundreds of years, he's clearly an American brought up in Chicago, but
Yeah.
seemingly understood Japanese. And you get no sense that before that bit in the movie that he speaks Japanese at all.
Yes.
Because Scorpio talks to him, but he kind of looks as if he understands what he's saying.
Yeah, he listened to his instruction about like, leave it to me now. You leave. I'll finish him.
I wasn't sure if he was just reading his body language of, all right, I'm just going to leave this one to you,
Yeah.
or if it was like I actually understood, because you couldn't really tell if you could understand him. I thought, which is fine. It was fine to be ambiguous. Actually, I'm
Yeah.
assuming he could speak Japanese, but there wasn't a part in the movie. It kind of would have been maybe handier if there was one part in the movie earlier on where he just talks Japanese to someone, or was
Yeah.
trying to teach his daughter Japanese, for example. That might be a nice thing, like to be like, you know, you see a scene of him like trying to teach his daughter some Japanese, whatever. But I mean, yeah, generally fine. So sorry, yeah, 90% really like the film, really like the opening, really like that backstory. I thought it was pretty cool.
Did you say 90?
95% of it I loved, yeah.
Okay, that's strong. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought, I mean, given like, let's get real, they're trying to make a story out of a 90s computer game, is it maybe? I
Yeah,
don't even see
92. Yeah,
Oh, it's only
92.
came out. Okay. Yeah, so 90s computer game where the premise of the game is you've got two fighters and they just kick the shit out of each other. There's lots of blood. There's no real story to that. It was just a tournament thing. And I know they've had a story to build on over the years, but the bare bones of what Mortal Kombat is, it's, people fighting. But considering it's just that, I think they did a really good job of drawing out like a decent story, characters you care about. People had like good motivations for why they were doing stuff. And the acting wasn't amazing, but I do think it was good. I thought it was really enjoyable.
Yeah. If I'm just sticking with the slight negatives just for a second, there's only. I don't know if this is really negative, or maybe it's just I should just appreciate that this is a different style of character, but or different version of Liu Kang. But I just found Liu Kang to be a little bit and Kung Lao. Yeah, there's a lot of throwaway things that they say. A little bit cheesy at times, but maybe that is just because they've been around the gods for a long time and the temples that they've become they've got a lot of those beliefs, and they speak with such sort of high wisdom, and so it comes off a bit cheesy compared to the other characters because the other characters are like modernized 21st century.
So in the original movie, were you following? You were following Liu Kang more, weren't you? Liu Kang was the central character, and he
Exactly.
didn't know what was going on. Is that right? I felt like
That's
he
right.
didn't. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I haven't watched that movie in years, but I think he didn't know what was going on. So I kind of see it what you mean about it being like a precursor to that movie, but in the same way it can't be, because in this movie Liu Kang is like, knows stuff. He like when the first time you see him in the movie, he's like, "Come with me and I'll explain everything." He's that guy in the desert.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, and that's okay. In that sense, yeah, it couldn't be a prequel, but it just seemed like it seemed to me as though Liu Kang and Shang Tsung had never really had a fight before, and it looked to me also that Shang Tsung was so powerful, like Liu Kang isn't ready for him. That's how I
Yeah.
also felt.
Yeah.
That's why I would have thought, is this a prequel? And they didn't seem to look at each other like they hated each other. So Liu Kang to me just seemed a little bit like an earlier Liu Kang. But I know what you mean. Yeah, on the other side, he seems to
Maybe
know
it's just a little bit of a separate. Maybe it's slightly its own separate thing. But you're right.
Yeah,
It would be, if anything, it would be set slightly before the events of the
yeah,
first movie, which is good. I like that. The the other thing, just talk about the casting a little bit. The guy they cast to be Shang Tsung,
yeah,
not sure. He's a good actor. I liked his acting. I didn't think he suited being like this intimidating, because
yeah,
he's the guy from Batman, right? And in Batman,
yeah,
he's the
yeah,
he's the guy they're like, oh, if anyone's going to be a weasel, it's this guy.
yeah.
And
That's
so
it. That's it.
I can't help but see him, because I'm such a big Batman. What's that? The second one, was it?
The Dark Knight. Yeah,
Yeah, it was the Dark Knight. Yes, yeah. So because I've watched that movie so many times, I can't help slightly seeing him in that light. Like, he doesn't unfortunately shake that
yeah,
like kind of phony gangster
yeah.
appearance,
Yeah,
which
so that's all I know him from. But apparently, he does, for especially for Asian sort of movies, he does have quite a big background and following. But yeah, I know what you mean. He's not really the most intimidating. But I thought his voice was quite good. It's quite important to have quite a mystical voice as that character, and I thought
yeah.
he held that up. I like the style they use as well. A bit of an echo in everyone's voice. Everyone had a high pitch and a sort of low pitch.
Oh, I didn't notice
Um,
that.
yeah, if you play back every time Melina speaks to especially Melina when she talks to Shang Tsung in the Outworld, she was telling him how
Oh,
the progress was going. That they she was trying to say that they were on close to getting jacked or something. She's got a high voice and a low voice, but I don't know how to
cool.
describe that in terms of music. I think you know a bit better, but it seemed like low pitch, high pitch or something. But it was an interesting way of working, making her voice sound a bit more sinister.
Yeah, that's cool.
Shang Tsung
One,
sometimes had it. Mm.
yeah, one thing I found funny again, it was, the bit where they turn Kano, Cabal turns Kano. Is it Cabal?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so he says, "Oh yeah, all the more the money. Think of the amount you want of money you want, double it and then triple it and then triple it again, or whatever it was.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
basically you can have loads and loads of money." And I was thinking, yeah, that sounds plausible. But most of the time when you see the bad guys, they're like in Outworld walking around an absolute shithole. Like there's no money or like finer trappings of life there. It's not like they're
yeah,
in
yeah,
some lovely, amazing palace of like treasures and like everything you could have, amazing food and stuff. They're
yeah.
walking around what I look like a complete shithole dump. And I was like, that's not very appealing. That sounds rubbish. I'd rather be like just not involved.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I can only assume though they're just saying it's another way of interpreting it is that you'll be regarded as a general. Who knows what Earth's going to be like when we rule it, but you'll be in a high position. But yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any there's probably not going to be any Bentleys that are going to be like made anymore. So you're not going to have one of those. But yeah, sure. Because everything would be different, the whole universe. But
It doesn't make sense.
um,
It's weird.
yeah, I really like Cabal. So online, I
Mm.
couldn't help but watch the trailers and rewatch them, and I could see everyone's interest in the comments about Cabal and how cool he looked. I didn't know that much about his sort of backstory, whether he was a
No, no,
good or
do I. Tell me, what is it?
good guy or bad guy. No. So I still don't really know. But what I'm
Ah,
saying is everyone was rooting for Cabal, but only in the sense of how he looked because they loved how he looked in the trailer. Now,
okay.
I would go and say for those who were, I was only like, oh yeah, he looks kind of cool. But for those people who loved how he looked, like the extra surprise or sort of present was how his attitude was because I just thought he was really funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
He was very much like Kano, wasn't he?
yeah. They were just both pretty funny characters. A lot of good
I,
dialogue.
I like how they did his because he's very fast, isn't he? I like how they did his speed. They
Yeah.
didn't do like a slow-mo thing,
Yeah. Sure.
which
No
was
bullet
good.
time.
Actually, yeah. I don't know if sometimes bullet time can be a bit like, oh god, flipping slow-mo again to show how fast he is.
Mm,
I'm not sure if it's overdone, but anyway, that I think that was done quite nicely.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So there was one bit as well I kind of like. It's not like a standout moment. There's one bit that I quite liked though. It was when um, Cole Young was fighting Goro,
Yeah.
and it's the bit where you're sort of, because I get this in movies all the time where I'm like, oh my god, there's someone watching the fight. Can't they just do something to try and help? Like he's clearly down. Chuck him a gun
Sure.
or do something. Do something
Mm,
to the people watching. Just don't be a complete spectator as if you're not even there. Like, I know maybe some people in real life would do that, but I think in movies you might as well like get them to try and do something, and then that becomes a bit more interesting. And Cole's wife
Mm.
runs in with an axe. Is it with an axe? I think it's with an
Yeah,
axe.
it was an axe. Yeah.
Just absolutely slots him in the ribs.
Yes.
Goro actually like does hurt him, and then she gets like smacked away and knocked out. But yeah, I actually thought it was pretty cool, and I thought I think that fight was pretty cool as well, and it was cool seeing him get his powers. I'm not sure actually 100% what his powers are.
Nor am I, because I'm wondering,
That
is
was
it?
weird.
It seemed to me like it
He
was.
could absorb
Yeah, he could. Yeah,
energy,
he could kind of he generates power from taking damage and then throwing it.
hits from other people. But so he used it in that fight, and then I didn't think he really used it again.
No, he didn't. But again, I think he was slightly sidelined on purpose when the main final fight took place, which we should definitely get onto.
But even when he was
We
fighting,
can't skip
like,
that.
didn't he go and fight other people in
He had a brief fight with Melina, but Sonya helped him.
Yeah, I just sort of thought, well, he hasn't really got his, hasn't really got his powers. But it was a shame, when it was good that Sonya killed Kano, because then she would get the marking
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then get her powers, which is cool. But I actually think it was a shame that Kano got killed off, or maybe he's going to be revived.
yeah. That's something I was going to get into a bit after, but I was going to
Oh,
talk about.
go on then. Yeah, go on.
We've got to do this, but I've got to spend a bit of energy on this because this is
Yep.
probably one of the best parts. But I think I said in the previous pod that my favorite characters were always the ninjas. From the first movie, and what a lot of people always say is that their favorite is Scorpion, like hands down. Sub Zero tends to come second. After watching this movie, I think you could argue there's a bit of a shuffle because I or switch. I would just say that I still absolutely love Scorpion, but the way Joe Tamslin sort of portrayed Sub Zero, sorry, Taslim, was just awesome. I thought he was just so cold blooded. He was kind of
Yeah.
like how you expect Scorpion, but he was just so cold.
It was a role reversal, right? Because in the original movies, Sub Zero was the kind of the goodie.
Well,
Scorpion
so do
was
you
a
know
little
that?
bit of a
Do you know the full backstory?
Nope.
I'll just run you through it real quick.
Come on. Yeah.
Okay, so for anyone that doesn't know, so basically Scorpion and Sub Zero. So Sub Zero was there was mind control. It was a guy called Quan Chi who's a massive villain later on. He does mind control over Sub Zero and tells Sub Zero to kill Scorpion's family and to kill Scorpion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Sub Zero does all of that
in the 1600s.
Yes. So like feudal
Oh.
Japan. So he goes and executes that plan, and then later on, he's no longer under this mind control. Scorpion comes back and is constantly trying to hunt down Sub Zero, and it appears as though the psychopath is from to most people, it seems like, oh my God, Scorpion is he's just hell bent on killing this blue
Sub-Zero.
ninja. Yeah, but it's more or less, it's revenge, and then you feel sorry for Scorpion, and then you think, why did he do it? And he did it because he was under mind control from Quan Chi. So it's a
Cool.
big misunderstanding between two ninjas who technically neither of them are at fault. So you get to you basically get to love them both because neither are really a bad guy, but they behave like they both have a moment. They both have a moment behaving like the villain, but neither of them are actually true villains. It's someone else.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really, really cool.
It's very Shakespeare sort of. I feel like a lot of sort of, or maybe Othello, where like Iago's just talking shit in his ear and getting him to do stuff he shouldn't do.
I've never read Othello, but you've just raised the level of this podcast by about 7,000.
Yeah, but anyway,
so that's the title of the podcast sorted out: Mortal Kombat and Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Shakespeare's Mortal Kombat. That's what it should be called.
But that just goes to the extent of shows how much I know Shakespeare, because there might be actually a better example.
The 12th fight. We should call it the 12th fight.
Yeah. So anyway, well, going back to just the sort of portrayal of Sub Zero. So in this instance, you get to see Sub Zero behaving like the psychopath. And oh boy, I mean, during that fight, not only is the fight just awesome, but especially the part where he kind of rips off his mask and just shows his face, his sort of pale face, his like
Yeah.
bleached out eyes and blood dripping from his mouth, and he's still just ready to like
Yeah.
you know yeah, get down and fight and get a nasty sort of brutal fight, and it's just amazing. And essentially took 2-on-1 to take him down because he is one of the toughest. Um, and yeah, it was a really deserved way to go out. I think it just great 10 minutes. I think of fighting.
It was really good. And I think the bit then you're going to get onto is that, and I noticed then, I just remembered it, but at the end, Shang Tsung basically teleports his warriors away, doesn't he, to maybe make them rise and fight again?
Yeah, yeah. This is the yeah. So this is the sort of segue back into what you were saying about the possible reemergence of Kano.
Kano, yeah.
Yeah. So it does seem as though it's possible that anyone could come back, which kind of is just weird because it eliminates the stakes a little bit if that's possible. But we'll see if the sequel does take place, which I really hope it does.
They might be able to rectify the fact that they've resurrected them and to say, like, oh, that was a one-time deal or something like that. Do you know what I mean? They might be able to do something like that to reinstate the stakes.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope so. I hope so. At least something like that, because I would love to see those characters again. Kano and Sub Zero were the best.
Yeah, they were cool. I will say there's two scenes. One scene I loved of Sub Zero, and one scene that I just thought was a bit stupid with Sub Zero.
Hmm.
So I'll start with the stupid one, then I'll go to the one I love.
Well, wait. Why don't I guess? It's probably going to be really easy, but
go on then.
No, I mean, why don't you tell me one and I'll just guess.
What do you mean guess?
I'll guess if it's the stupid or.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, all right, fine. Okay, so the first one was when Sub Zero first goes after Cole Young.
Mm.
And instead of actually just walking up to him and doing something, he basically has throw snowballs at him for 5 minutes in the middle of July in the restaurant.
Okay. Is that number one?
So Sub-Zero's job is to go and kill these people, right? He could have just walked into that thing. Cole would never have known. He could have just stabbed him through the heart, walked away. But instead, he makes the entire block freezing cold. It starts snowing in July, and then he starts throwing snowballs at him. Like, it wasn't even like the snowballs would have killed him if they'd got him. But he was like, do you know what I mean? It was just like throwing bits of snow that weren't that big at him. And then that made him run away. He was like, oh my God, there's some freak who's like controls the ice. I'm going to run away. And then he got away.
I'm worried that this could be a bit of a trick here. And that this is actually this is the scene that you really liked rather than stupid. And you're just adding a bit of tone at the end to try and draw me in to make me go, oh, that's obviously the stupid one. So give me the second one.
Okay. So I'll give you the second one. The second one was where Sub-Zero fights Jax. And he, at the end, freezes his arms, breaks his arms off. And then when he chucks him, he just chucks his body, not lifeless, but he chucks his de-armed body down into a hole.
Yeah.
And Jax smashes his head on the side and just completely helpless because he hasn't got any arms, falls on the floor and he's just lying there. And I was just like, that is one of the most brutal things. I think I wasn't ready for that. When that scene happened, I was not ready for that level of violence. I was just like, oh shit, I didn't know this movie was an R-rated movie. Maybe I should have guessed from before, but at that point I was like, well, they really went there.
Fair enough. To be fair, I guess if you hadn't sort of given away the first one, I could have. There's an argument to case that to make a case that the second one is also a little bit over the top because it seemed maybe unnecessary, but no, maybe I'm wrong. You are supposed to kill the guy. So anyway, the first one is got to be the crazy one.
Yeah, the first one I just thought was the most. When I was watching, I was like, dude, what are you doing? You just throw snowballs at him, making it snow, just doing a big fancy show. You just could have walked up to him, keep your stupid clothes on, keep your blue ninja suit on. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just walk up to him and stab him. Then you're done.
Yeah.
That's your entire 400-year mission finished.
Yes. Yeah.
But no, he decided to do that. And then, in the Jax scene, I was just like, actually, to be fair, he could have made it a more definitive kill of Jax. He could have just chopped his head off, but he didn't do that. And he probably should have if he's trying to kill people with the marking.
Sorry, yeah, that was going to be my argument for number 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to say
Having thought about it now, and I didn't think about it at the time, but thinking about it now, yeah, he could have done that. So maybe there's a little bit of like movie logic in that part of the movie. But I did think when I saw it, I was literally like mouth open wide, being like, "Oh my god, what did I just watch?" It was like it was awful. It was like when you like club a fit, you know, like in betweeners when they smash a fish over the head and kill it, and then it's just this lifeless bit of meat. That's what Jax was basically. I was just like, "Oh my god!" I thought he was quite a cool character as well.
Yeah, he was.
Really well cast.
Yeah,
Like the voice, his voice really sounds like Jax, from what I remember anyway.
Yeah, he does.
And Sonya, even though she's Australian, Sonya is an Australian actor.
Yes, she was. And she did. Yeah, I mean, she played the part really well. I was going to talk about some of the sort of like the tone of the film. Like, obviously, there's a lot of comedy sort of blended in, especially.
Yeah. I thought it was quite. Yeah, good.
The first 3 quarters with Kano's involvement.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you. I mean, do you think it's sort of consistent all the way through with comedy? And what were the best bits and what were the bits that didn't land, if any?
There were a couple of times I can't remember the specifics, but I was thinking in my head, "Oh, I hope Kano doesn't say something this time. I hope this one time he just lets it go and they don't make a joke."
Yeah.
And every time he did say something.
Yeah, you're right actually. But the good thing is Sonya kind of spoke for the audience at some points. She said, "Do you ever shut the up?"
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that is true. Yeah, and that did sort of like not smooth it over, but that did make me then go, "Yeah, bloody hell, he is fucking annoying."
Yeah.
But funny, but very funny. What did I think? Yeah, I thought do you mean in the comedy wise? I think it was all right. I thought it was all right. I thought it was quite consistent. Why?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I did think it was quite consistent. There was one. There was another point actually. I think Shang Tsung shushed him. Can you remember when they came through? When Kano breaks the force field and he comes back in, he talks and it's acceptable because he's talking while Sonya's like in disbelief. And then that moment's over and he carries on talking and Shang Tsung just puts his hand up, just like shh. and Shang Tsung continues, which is quite funny. Also, the first time Shang Tsung, Sub Zero, and Melina break into the cave, and it's the moment when Raiden, just before Raiden puts the force field down, as they're all talking, it suddenly pans to Kano and he's like eating some food, somewhat sarcastically, whilst listening to a really serious story. I did think, oh god, this is a little bit like Marvel, like they want to let people know that everyone's human.
They don't take themselves too seriously, and there's still some human moments in all the seriousness.
But yeah, no, Josh Lawson, I think his name was. I've never seen him before in anything else, but he played Kano so well.
Is he Australian?
There's reports that he was sort of like ad-libbed a bit and whatever, but whether or not, it was just great script and great performance.
Yeah, it was pretty good, to be fair. I mean, there were literally just 1 or 2 times where I was just like, oh, I wish they'd just give him a break for 5 minutes. But like I say, 95% of even that character's lines I thought were really funny.
Yeah. He took the gash from Reptile a bit too well. I remember thinking he had a go at Sonya for it, but I was thinking there's got to be. I want to see people wince a bit more at injuries, especially that type of injury. Like his face was a bit burnt and like he had like 3 deep gashes. I was like, you've not really touched it since. He's just walking around with it, and then he complained about it once or twice, but only in the sense of
I didn't see a scene where he tried to like fix it or anything. He didn't try and heal it or wash it. He just had this alien from another planet come and slash it and like rub his fingers in his face.
Yeah, they just sort of walk through the sun.
Out.
Yeah, they walk through the sun to find Raiden's temple, and like, there's not a splash of water or any like headgear to like keep the sun away from it. But yeah, sure. Where do you think? Yeah, so where do you think they go with this, and where do you hope they go with this?
Well, obviously at the end they reveal the poster of Johnny Cage, and they're going to recruit Johnny Cage as a fighter. Don't know why, but I mean, whatever. Yeah, I guess we didn't see. Well, I think characters wise, right? So we got. Is it? Oh, what's his name? Kung Lao, not Kung Lao. The guy with the even bigger bad guy from the first movie. Not Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung's boss.
Shao Kahn.
Shao Kahn. Yeah, they've got him to reveal, surely.
Yeah, they did show in the cave. They showed some like kind of sort of
Pictures of him and
inscriptions,
stuff.
sort of
Yeah.
drawings of him, didn't they? Yeah, that's true. He's definitely left, and we're expecting Johnny Cage, obviously, his sort of entry. Um, I was very slightly disappointed that there weren't more ninja characters, but I guess there were a lot of characters in general that they wanted to
Yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of get
Oh, what
through.
did you
So
make of Liu Kang?
Liu Kang. I did say a little bit earlier. I only said it once, maybe or briefly, but I thought him and Kung Lao were just a little bit of a cheese element. But that's
Yeah.
the problem. He's the wisdomous one, and he's been hanging out with the monks and the gods. So he's
They,
the way
they,
he
they
talks
also
and so.
cast like quite a pretty boy.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Yeah, quite.
And
Yeah, very. Yeah, yeah.
like he's almost like too he's a good looking guy, but he's almost too like um
Model-esque.
sweet and nice looking. Like yeah,
Yeah,
not like I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just some stereotype of watching movies in the '90s, but I don't know, maybe a bit more of a rugged, like the previous Liu Kang, basically the guy who was cast as previous Liu Kang. That
yeah,
guy's like perfect. So it's
yeah,
hard to replace. I think very hard to replace him. He was in seriously good nick, to be fair. Like in
yeah.
terms of like athletically, he was like totally fit for the part. But yeah, I did think like yeah, he was just a little bit didn't feel quite genuine. I don't know. Like it was too
Um,
much hair product.
Yeah, agreed. We're running out of time a little bit, so I feel like there's one character
Go on.
we haven't mentioned that we absolutely have to, and I thought he was absolutely fine. It wasn't stand out, but I did enjoy Raiden. I thought
Yeah. I thought he was good. I'd like to see more from Raiden.
yeah, that would be, yeah. If there was more of him, there would be more to say. Maybe that's why we haven't really spoke about him. But he explains things relatively well. The eyes were kind of cool, and his voice was very cool.
Yeah.
It was a bit wispy, a little bit like the Christopher Lambert version in the first film. That
Yeah.
was kind of cool. And okay, he didn't really get involved in the fighting that much, but his presence was, you just knew that this guy's not fucking around. And
Yeah. Although I think even though is it Chris Lambert? Is that his name? The
I
previous
think that's how
actor.
you pronounce it. Yeah,
Okay, so that the previous actor, even though it was like a white guy being cast as an Asian character,
mm.
I did think he was very good for it. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was like I
Uh,
think he was a really good Raiden, and but this guy too, the current actor for it, also thought he was very good.
yeah.
How many stars are you giving it out of 5?
Ooh. Um, if we can give halves, then I'd give it 4.5. But if we can't, I'll give it 4.
Ooh, 4.5. Yeah, okay, yeah. I was just gonna go with 4, so we're on the same page.
I think 4 is fair. Because I really enjoyed it, but like I said, I cocked up. It was more my fault, see, but I just thought the CGI didn't work as well on certain screens. Anyway, and the audio was a bit funky. It was easier with
That sounds like your setup. I think you. I think you're basically giving it 4.5.
but yeah. So there's, like I said, there's certain parts of the story. Sadly, I guess it's the Cole Young part that they really wanted to drive and make a new thing
Yeah.
that weren't quite as enjoyable as
Okay.
I wished it was. Which is why I can't give it 5, or I can't give it 100 or not, or 10 out of 10. It's just those small elements, but yeah, really enjoyable. I can see myself watching this a third time in
Yeah.
pretty soon, probably. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I loved it. I thought I quite liked the Cole Young story. I still only give it a 4. The music was really good as well, actually.
Yeah,
But yeah, I still only give it a 4 just because it's no like Shawshank Redemption or anything like that. It's a comic book. It's a game movie at the end of the day, but it's like a really good game movie that I think fans have been waiting for a long time, and they've got the patient fans have got what they deserve.
yeah,
Fantastic film.
absolutely. All right, well, that's it from us on this movie review. So if you guys want to subscribe and like, that help, and leave us a comment. Let us know if you agree with or disagree with any of what we've said. Let us know what you think about Mortal Kombat 2021. It's on HBO Max, and I guess it'll be in theaters in the UK soonish, hopefully. Um, so yeah, thanks guys, and we'll see you soon. So.
Cheers, bye.